Hey, everybody, and thanks for joining us for Tech Week 2021. We are about to start our second session with yours truly. Nikki is joining in as well. She is going to make sure she is managing the chat and answering any questions that may come up. So make sure that you drop any questions you have in the chat, and she will make sure to pass them along to me.
All questions and concerns about copyright, even if you think it's a silly question, I guarantee you someone else has the same one. So throw it in there and we will definitely get it answered today.
Right. As the former English teacher, not me, her, she definitely has a good handle on what sorts of things you can and cannot do. And I'm just going to share some best practices in the educational setting. So if you are good, I'm going to go ahead and get started. All right. You can get a copy of my presentation. You can see right there on the link. It is bit.ly, 3 little w, big Q, big H, big O, little w, and little v. And it is right there as well. And I'm going to go ahead and take off this LPPS technology so that we can see what is going on. All righty. So copyright laws in educational practices. With everything going digital, I feel like a lot of people have maybe gone lax as far as following some of these copyright laws, and we want to make sure that nobody gets in trouble for this. Don't think that just because you're an educator or we're a school district or anything of that nature, that these big corporations will not come after us. If you do any research as far as like Houston School District, they have been hit with quite a few multi-million-dollar lawsuits for things that you wouldn't think are that big of a deal. Just tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Heather White. I am an instructional technology facilitator with Livingston Parish Schools. I'm a Google certified trainer and educator, an ISTE certified educator, and an ambassador for Wakelet, Seesaw, and a couple of other fun little ed tech things. All right, so to get started, I am going to read you the definition of copyright. So what is copyright? According to the World Intellectual Property Organization, copyright or author's right is a legal term used to describe the rights that creators have over their literary and artistic works. Works covered by copyright range from books, music, paintings, sculpture, films, computer programs, databases, advertisement, maps, technical drawings, basically anything that you have created or someone else has created. It is their own work, which means it belongs to them, basically can be copyrighted or is copyrighted, and somebody else cannot use it and say that it is their work. So keep that in mind. So how does this apply to education? Okay, there is something called fair use laws, meaning that we can use a portion of some things and not be violating a copyright. Okay, but that doesn't mean that everything that we do falls underneath those fair use laws. It has to be used for instructional purposes and non-profit. So you cannot be making money off of it, and it can only be used for educational purposes. And even then, there's only a small percentage that can be used. Well, how do you know? How do you know if you're doing the right thing? How do you know if it's, copyrighted or if you can use it or not? Go ahead and assume that anything that you did not personally create from scratch, that was your own idea, is under copyright protection. Okay, if you assume that, then you're on the safe side. Okay, paraphrase, link, credit, and when possible, make your own or find open source content. So again, just to kind of give you what fair use is, it allows copyrighted work to be used for certain purposes. The problem is determining fair use is a notoriously gray area, meaning sometimes they may say, yes, it's fair use, and sometimes they may say no. If a judge has to go in and determine whether or not the content that you are using falls underneath fair use laws, these are the 4 factors that they are going to consider. The purpose and character of your use. Okay, why are you using it? Who is the audience for? The nature of the copyrighted work, the amount and substantiality of the portion taken, and the effect of the use upon a potential market. So in education, when they say market, think TPT, those kinds of places. There are huge copyright violations being found every day on those places that are selling teacher created work, because the teachers that are creating that work aren't necessarily creating all of it from scratch. So you have to be careful about those things. Now, how much can you use? Permissible amounts is 10%. Okay. So if you're talking about movies and those sorts of things, 10%, about 3 minutes. Text material, 10%, 1,000 words. Music lyrics, music, 10%, but no more than 30 seconds. That's why, a lot of times if you post something to Facebook and it's got a song or some sort of tune in the background, it gets, copyright violations. They're going to mute that audio or whatever because you're using someone else's work in your own post. You're thinking, well, I'm not trying to steal their stuff. Well, no, intentionally, you're not meaning to do that. But that is a copyright violation, which is why Facebook kind of gives you that no, we cannot post this unless you go and you edit that. Okay, so you have to be careful with that. Illustrations, photographs, clip art, any of those things that you find on the internet, no more than 5 images from one artist or photographer, no more than 10% or 15 images from a collection, and then numerical data sets, 10% or 2,500 fields, okay? Now, what does fair use not allow for? This is where you really need to take a look at this. Copying and distribution of material that is forbidden from doing so. Think of all the teacher books that you have, all the teacher resources, okay, any novel that you might have. If you look down here, Curriculum Associates LLC, copying is not permitted. So this right here is from a curriculum company. It is from a teacher's guide, and it flat out tells you copying is not permitted. So not even one page. If you buy a book that has pages for student work, a lot of times it will tell you at the bottom that copying is permitted for classroom use, meaning you can copy that page, you can give it to your students to do, okay, but you cannot copy that page and post it somewhere or take the exact wording and use it in something that you're going to create to turn around and sell. You can't do that. Posting of copyrighted material on a public site accessible for all. Okay, so let's say you wanted to post the answer key. Where does that need to go? Well, not on your public website where anybody in the world can stumble upon it. You got to be careful about that. If you wanted to share an answer key, it's better to do that in your Google Classroom where it is for educational purposes and only your students have access to it. Okay, fair use does not allow for using images, music, and video without permission and or proper attribution. Okay, just because you can find it in a Google search does not mean that you can just use it. Okay, most of the images you're going to find in a Google search have some sort of copyright to them. So you need to credit it, do a citation, or look for one that does not have copyright barricades on it. This one's going to ruffle some feathers, but streaming from accounts such as Disney Plus, Netflix, Prime in your classroom, these things are not okay. Now, Netflix, if you click here in my presentation, will take you to what their policy is on the educational screening of their documentaries. Okay, so not everything that you can find on there, their documentaries. So they are granting you permission to use their original documentaries in a meaningful way. Okay, and it gives you all of the different, this is what you got to follow, this is what you have to follow. But that does not mean that you can just go and find a movie that's on there and show that. That is not okay. Disney Plus, they will not let you stream their things, especially, let's say, at a parent night, where you're going to charge students attendance. You are making money off of that. That is a serious copyright violation. If you want to do that, you actually have to get a license to show that. Licensing to stream, this link right here. You can purchase these licenses from swank.com. Now, You can get an annual license. You're going to have to, contact them as far as getting an annual license from your school, which will protect you from any copyright infringement issues. Or you can get one per event that you do. A per event license is $250 an event. And again, don't think they won't come after you. They have, and they will either sue you or say, hey, you got to pay the $250 to cover for that license. So just be very careful about what you're doing and what you're streaming. Just because you pay for the service does not mean that it's okay to use in your classroom. You pay for that service to use in your private home only. All right, so now that I've told you all the things you cannot use, you're going, okay, well, then what can I use? I can't use this, I can't use that. Guys, there's so much out there that you can use. I urge you to look for something called Open Educational Resources, or OER. There are tons of them out there. A simple Google search will take you where you need to go. So what is an OER? Teaching, learning, and research materials in any medium that reside in what's known as the public domain or have been released under an open license that permits no cost access, use, adaptation, redistribution by others. Okay, so these things could be online courses, digital textbooks, lesson plans, databases, images, videos, simulations. Okay, so lots of things are out there for free use. So what is the difference between public domain and open license? Public domain means at one point it was copyrighted, but that ownership has been waived. The author has given away rights to the public to reproduce creative work. Also, there is a certain amount of time after the author's death that it goes into public domain. I want to say it's 70 years. And anything created before, I forget the specific date, but I want to say in 1978 or 1970 specifically, is considered in public domain. Okay. Open license is what is known as your Creative Commons. So copyright ownership is retained, but the author is granting broad rights for reproduction and distribution of their creative work. Now, there are different levels of what the authors are going to grant. They may just grant, hey, attribution, tell somebody that this is where you got this from. Or they may say, you can go ahead and change it up, do what you want. Again, just say where you got it from. And some may say you can only use it like this. So here are the different licenses by Creative Commons. And this is sort of a graphic that you can get explained at a glance. Okay, so here's copyright. You cannot copy publish. You can't, do anything with attribution. So you can't do any of these things if something is copyrighted. Something that falls in a public domain, okay, means that you can do this, 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 and this. You do not have to attribute. Okay, Creative Commons by, and then you can go through and you can see all of these little different things right here. So this right here is, your most least restrictive, and then to your most restrictive right here. So you can go through that. If you click down here, permission guide for educators. Okay, it does take you to the OER Commons, Open Educational Resource. And if you click on this view resource right here, it goes through and it will explain everything to you. So what is copyright, fair use, classroom use exemption, the Teach Act, which is one of those things that says, because we're using it to teach, we can use part of it, exceptions, limitations, etc. So it really goes into detail about all of the things that you need to do, how you can seek permission for things. It gives you an example of an email, the way that you can word something if you are seeking permission for a use of a specific work. And this one right here is Guide to Open Licensing. Okay, so there's a cute little video right there, and then it explains all of the different licenses. So, attribution, share alike. You can remix, redistribute, commercially use your work, so long as the new work attributes the original work and its author. So if you're kind of looking at the little copyright thing, you can see that normally it's in the bottom corner of something, and it's the black label, and it says CC means Creative Commons. And then it'll give you these different letters right here. This will explain to you what those different letters stand for and what you can do with specific works. This slide right here, I took from a presentation by Eric Kurtz, and he is amazing, by the way. He runs the blog Control Alt Achieve. So if you ever want to know anything ed tech, specifically Google related as well, he is one to look up. But this was the end slide of one of his presentations. So it says that this document is licensed by Eric Kurtz under Creative Commons Attribution, and it's non-commercial 3.0, and it'll give you, you can go here, click here, and get more information. This is the little icon I was talking about. When you see CC, it means Creative Commons, and it tells you what you can and cannot do. So he kind of explained it to you. You can copy, you can distribute, and you can adapt his work as long as you give proper attribution, so who it was made by, and you do not charge for it. So you cannot make money off of it. So he gives out all of his resources for free and says, hey, you can use these, but tell people you got it from me and you cannot make any money off of my work. So it's pretty fair, I think. The next few slides, my friend Amanda Jones had given me, and it is a compilation of lots of open educational resources that you can use for free. Okay, so you can go through and you can click and search through all of these different ones. So MIT Open Courseware, these are college courses for free. So you ever want to say you went to MIT, here's your chance. But OER Commons is one that you can actually go and search through. So let's say you're searching for something in ELA, and what level do we want it on? Let's say preschool, and you can even filter by specific standards. So let's say we're looking for the Common Core standards. And you search and it will go through all of what it has and pull for you the specific lessons that it has for preschool, ELA that falls underneath the Common Core standards. So lots of great lessons and things that you can find right there. These are specifically for STEM. Okay, so here's a curriculum here, National Science Digital Library. There's one of my favorites is PhET Simulations. They even talk about the Lego engineering lessons. These are really fun if you've got access to a lot of Legos. Unit plans, ways to do things. And again, you don't have to go through and create anything. It's right here for you and it is free and you can use these. Science ones. So here's the PhET interactive simulations. These are for science and for math. And they have been working really hard to go and convert all of them from Flash to HTML5, which is the newest HTML that allows you to actually use these within a browser and you don't have to have a plugin. Although it appears that it doesn't like me today, and that's cool too. We'll try it again in a moment. Let's try it again one more time. Simulations, math. And they may be doing some updates. But there are lots of different grade bands that you can find simulations for. They even have lesson plans with all of like the tables and things created. All you have to do is actually go in and make a copy of those things. You can share to Google Classroom. Lots of different things to do. So notice right here, you can do equation balancing, variables, fraction matching, equality. Notice graphing lines, a function builder. So lots of things to choose from. And I'm just going to click on this one right here and kind of show you as you go through. If you click on the 4 teachers, you get a video primer. Now it says, please sign in. It's a free account. They just want you to create one. Notice you can sync it up with your Google Classroom. It'll kind of give you the overview of what it is, also gives you a PDF of that. And then right here gives you a bunch of teacher submitted activities. So you could even submit in activities of your own. You can take a look at the different grade levels, the types, and the subjects that it goes to. They do have some in both English and in Spanish. So that is a good thing as well. Math focus, ELA focus, and then more ones at no cost resources right here. So again, Art Institute, Library of Congress, lots of primary sources right there. So you social studies teachers, definitely take a look at that one. So lots of different things as far as you can use these for free. Now, photographs. This is one where we think if we do a quick Google search, we can just use the image that we found. These sites right here actually have photos on there that you can use for your classroom. And you also usually do not have to provide any attribution, or if anything, just a very small attribution. And it will tell you on that specific site whether or not you need to use that. Icons Mania and Slides Mania. Okay, so this is a Slides Mania presentation template, and you can notice that it's over here on the side. So when you download one from there, you know, they say do not take off the slidesmania.com. That is the attribution. They give away these presentation templates for free, but you may not know that she has created something called Icons Mania. And so she's gone through and she is creating tons and tons of icons and collections in black and white and in color. And again, you can use these for free. They're editable. You can change the colors of them, and all you need is either a Microsoft or a Google account. So if you're wanting to add cute little icons, not massive images, this is one place that you can go and you can search for that and check back, because she keeps adding more and more. So she's amazing because she has this amazing talent and then gives it away for free, basically, as long as you give her attribution for it. Another way is if you are wanting to go ahead and do a Google search for an image. Let's look for a dog. Okay, so if you click on dog and you click on images, okay, you cannot just go and pick any one that you want. You may not know that you can actually search for those that are free to use. So if you click on tools and you click right here on type, okay, you get clip art, line drawing, and GIF. But then also over here, you get usage rights. So Creative Commons licenses or commercial and other licenses. Well, as educators, I mean, unless you're creating something to sell, we're looking for those that fall under Creative Commons licenses, because we just want to use these maybe in our presentation, or maybe our students are searching for some that they can use in something that they're creating. So we want to click on Creative Commons licenses. So these right here will pull up images that we can use, and it says, you know, maybe subject to copyright, but if you click on it, a lot of times you can find what the what it's for. So this is Splash and Dash. My assumption is that this person right here found this image and put it on their website, and that means you could probably use it for whatever you want to. If you're not sure, again, all you have to do for something like that is just give the attribution as to where you found that image. Here are some free textbooks. If you ever need for a textbook. And something to remember is just because you found it online doesn't mean it's free to use. There are lots of resources that you can use that are free. So, you know, don't put yourself in a bind by using those that aren't. You have a right as a creator to protect your work. So when you create something, other people shouldn't be using it without either your written permission or attribution to you. If in doubt about using it, ask for permission or just don't use it at all. And instead of looking for loopholes, consider whether you're being the most responsible and ethical digital citizen you should be. We need to be role models for the public and for our students, and you want to make sure that you are doing everything correct. This right here is if you scan it, it will take you to a presentation that has been put together by EduBlogs, and it will give you a ton of information on Creative Commons and Fair Use Guide. And if you go to this link right here, it's really where I got the majority of my information. It's very comprehensive. You could use these, again, if you are trying to, you know, teach this in school or explain to a friend why what they're doing is not okay. Here's a link of all of the resources of where I got my information. Again, give that attribution. And that is it. So I want to thank you for joining us today. Again, short, sweet, to the point explanation of what you can and cannot do. Be very careful when you are using the resources that are given to you from the parish that come from educational corporations. I can promise you those are copyrighted, and they're not wanting you to make copies of them, post them to the internet, so on and so forth. Make sure that you fill out the survey and attendance link, bit.ly/techweek21. The T does need to be capitalized. You can win some great prizes. Do not hesitate to reach out to me through email, heather.white@lpsb.org, or on Twitter @TallTechieTeach. And again, here is where you can get a copy of my presentation.
Presentation link is in the chat, and it will be there after we close out the video. Survey and attendance link is popped up now. Make sure you register so you get those door prizes. Heather, this was awesome. Thank you. I even realized, like, sometimes I had to double check myself. Like, as an English teacher, I'm always like, cite your source, cite it. And so I'm really good about that. But I know I've seen presentations where I'm like, where did this come from? If you state a fact, you need to be able to back that up. So I think this was awesome.
Right. And a simple Google search, if you go and, well, I guess I need to relog in there. If you go copy somebody's words and paste it into the internet and it pulls up directly, I mean, that's just, it's bad form.
And bad form.
we don't want that to happen, but we also don't want to see anybody getting letters from lawyers, cease and desist. And that would not be good.
No. All right. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you shortly. We have Amanda Robinson coming up with Jamboard is my jam. And I'm actually a huge fan of Jamboard. I can't wait to get in there and dig a little bit. I plan on playing while she's teaching. So see you guys soon. Thank you.
Bye.